So, hey guys and girls and everything in between, this is Psycho Steve, and you're listening to Hair Today, Gone Tomorrow, and I am very blessed and fortunate to have Mr. Desmond Child, singer, songwriter, producer, father, husband. I just wanted to say thank you, Mr. Child, on behalf of Hair Today, Gone Tomorrow, for coming on and putting up with us. So,
hey, Psycho Steve.
How's it going?
It's going great.
By the way, do you prefer to be addressed as Mr. Child, or can I call you Desmond?
Desmond's okay.
Okay, just a respect thing. Just how I was brought up,
you know? You can just call me Sir.
Okay, I will call you Sir Desmond Child. Sir Desmond? Should I bow when I say that?
Actually was knighted, by the way.
Were you really?
Yeah.
Where?
Order of the Templar knighthood. My father was in that group, and then before he passed on his titles to me.
That's awesome.
So I am a Sir.
Right on. So I will address you as Sir Desmond. Lord of what?
Lord of the Hits.
There you go. That's what I'm going to adjust. I'm going to call you from now on. That's really awesome. So I just wanted to say a lot of people have been waiting to hear about this interview and hear this interview because you have influenced not just myself, but so many others, and you have recorded and written with so many freaking amazing people. The first question I wanted to know is, when you started writing, the process, was it a poem first, or did you just write it as a song?
Well, my mother was a songwriter, a Cuban songwriter. Her name was Elena Casal, and she was always writing songs since I was born. And so I just play at her feet while she was composing. So I didn't know that people didn't write songs. It was just the most natural thing, and because I sensed her mood, you know, if she was sad, she'd write a sad song. If she was happy, she'd write a happy song. So I thought that's the way that everyone expressed their emotions. So I had that advantage, and so ever since I could get up on the piano stool, I would be, you know, composing on the piano, just long kind of concertos and things like that. And then eventually my mom would have me play those for her visitors, which were usually musicians and poets and lots of strange people, because she was a bit of a bohemian. So every weekend there'd be just crazy parties till all hours, and I'd just be the little kid at the top of the stairs listening to their songs and poems. And so that's how I began. And I wrote my official pop song.
Right.
I was about 14 years old, and I had gone to a school with a lot of rich people on Miami Beach, kind of bussed myself there from Miami, and gave a fake address and all that so I could go to that school. And I was invited to a birthday party of this girl named Laura Stern. And, you know, I didn't have a gift, so I decided to write her a song. And so it was called Birthday Blues. And I sat and played for her, and of course I got these kind of like, you know, sweet eyes and everything looking at me. And so mission accomplished. And so that was my first official pop song.
Awesome. Now, did you ever record it and put it on an album?
No, it wasn't that good. But it was my very first song.
Right on.
Oh, I've written, you know, almost 5,000 songs since then.
Right, absolutely.
You know, so a few years ago, we had our 40th high school reunion, and she was there, and I actually sang what I could remember of the song to her in front of all the high school.
Wow.
And so, you know, of course, she had tears in her eyes and the whole thing. But, you know, it's so amazing how music is kind of a time machine. You hear a song, and it takes you sometimes the listener back to the first time they heard it,
right,
or to the relationship that they were having at that time when they would play that song over and over again. It would be their song. And I think in general, music has a way of bringing us into this kind of world that the point of creation, you go right there to whoever created the music at that time. And then we bring today to it. See what I'm saying?
Absolutely, because I'm all about the nostalgia factor. I tell everybody, when I play a certain song, it makes you think, holy cow, if you were around in that era when I'm playing a certain song, people are like, holy crap. Because like, I will play a hit here and there on my show, and I know you are the king of writing hits. But, I also play a deeper track from that band because of the fact is, if you're a fan of that artist, you'll know the music no matter what. And people are like, holy cow, I haven't heard that song in so long.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Well, that's the beauty of music. And it's amazing how much music is being played and consumed on a second per second basis all over the world.
Absolutely.
And yet the creators aren't being properly paid for what they've created. And with the streaming companies kind of decimating the value of our music, it's been a very tough thing, to be a professional songwriter. The artists are doing okay because the streamers pay 16 to 1 to the record companies.
Wow.
And I'm not sure that the artists are actually getting the money the record companies are getting, but hopefully they are. And but we're a minuscule part of the creation. In the world of licensing, it's always a 50-50 split.
Oh, okay.
Between the audio
right.
and the composition. But somehow when this digital thing came to be, we sort of lost ground. And so we've been fighting, ever since to recover because, when I first got, I live in Nashville, and when I first got here, there were 5,000 signed writers within the 440 circle.
Holy cow.
And today, I think last count of signed contracts with working writers was like 262 or something like that.
That's really sad.
In 25 years, sort of, that's what happened to the songwriting business because, one can't put two sticks together. And a lot of the songs that are, on the radio are being written by the same, very powerful group of people that, are on it. They've got what it takes to make sure that their songs are up front and get cut.
Right.
And then what happens to everybody else? Having an album cut like you were talking about, there's just no money in it. The only thing that can possibly bring any money right now, and that could be drying up, is terrestrial radio and some general licensing, like if they play your song in a lobby or a restaurant or something like that. That's what the performing rights organizations do. They collect that. And for me, that has really been my saving grace.
Wow.
That's because I've had so many songs cut that the sum total I've been able to, support my family, with that. Hopefully, if we keep fighting, and there's a bill going through Congress supported by Doug Collins, and, he's on the Republican side, and there's several Democrats also signed up to it. It's a bipartisan bill called the Music Modernization Act, and that will help us a lot to raise our rates and free ourselves from legislation. There are a lot of regulations. We're the most regulated, product in the world.
Right, absolutely.
It's not to our favor.
Right. Well, you'll be happy to know, I buy CDs and everything just because I like to read the liner notes and see.
No, they're purposely not manufacturing CDs. Right. And because they wanted people to go to downloading. Right. Where, like with Apple, with iTunes, 30% would go to Apple. Wow. So that reduced, what was left was 70%. And so our percentage of songwriters was reduced by 30% in royalties. Damn. Per play. But now, honestly, all the downloading is being phased out. Wow. You won't be able to buy music. Everything will go to streaming and subscription. Right. Where, like if everybody's paying whatever it is, $10 a month to listen to as much music as they want to listen to, ad infinitum for $10, that's a pretty good deal. And, let's say 100 million people out of our almost 400 million people in this country are signing up to that because it's maybe part of their cable package or phone package or something like that. Right. So that's a huge amount of funds available to pay us. Absolutely. And yet we're just getting the last little dribble of what's left of that. So, we're just hoping that we get a fair shake with this Music Modernization Act, and it's important that the public, that our citizens, care enough about music that they will be, writing their congressmen and would say pass the Music Modernization Act. I'm very passionate about that. I'm okay. I made money when the going was good, but I often do master classes. I just did one at NYU, which was my alma mater,
right,
at Songwriter School. And, I'm looking at these faces, these beautiful young faces, and I'm like wondering to myself, it's like, gosh, it's going to be so hard for them.
right.
If things don't change, they just don't even have any idea.
Well, is there a website that people can go and sign?
I think that this bill is going to go up for passing soon.
Okay.
And just stay on top of it. Just, Google Music Modernization Act. I haven't tried it myself because I'm on the board of ASCAP, so I get all the latest information from them.
Okay.
And I'll be going to Washington in May, I think, and, knocking on doors and campaigning to see if we can get people behind this.
Well, you got my vote, and I'm sure
Okay.
a ton of people behind you.
100 million more.
Absolutely. Well, I have a big mouth, like my ex-wife says, and I talk a lot too, so I'll spread the word, so not a problem with that. Okay, so the next question is, speaking of how you became successful, when you got your first hit, when you wrote your first hit, and you got your first royalty check, what did you buy?
I think I bought clothes.
Okay.
Because I really didn't have anything to wear that looked good, that was rock starish.
Right.
But I had my group, Desmond Rouge.
Right.
And my first really big money-making hit was I Was Made for Loving You.
Right.
A song I co-wrote with Paul Stanley. And that was the first thing that came. And I've been able to really, no matter what, survive on the royalties of that one song.
Wow.
And so, I went from, earning nothing to getting $100,000 in a year.
Holy cow.
And so that was a kind of like saving grace. But, what I did also was I helped my mother. And I got her out of debt and, bought her a new car, bought her new clothes, because I thought if I ever made it, would take care of her, because she was always struggling as a songwriter.
Right.
And even though she had cuts and even had a couple of popular songs, even one hit, she never saw a penny from it.
Wow.
Because of the way the system was set up.
That sucks. What song was that?
The song was called Muchísimo, and it was sung by an artist, a big crooner at the time. He was like the Sinatra of Latin bolero music, and his name was Roberto Ledesma.
Huh.
And so, that was her, kind of, she'd walk into a nightclub and the band would automatically start playing that song, kind of as a way of welcoming her. So, but still, that's one of the reasons why I helped to found the Latin Songwriters Hall of Fame.
Right.
Along with my co-founder, Rudy Perez.
Okay.
He's a very powerful producer and songwriter. And we're in our 6th year, and our next gala is October 18th at the James L. Knight Center in Miami, Florida.
Awesome.
And we're kind of modeled after the Songwriters Hall of Fame, where I was inducted in 2008, and I'm also on the board of that. So the Latin Songwriters Hall of Fame is sort of my committee project.
Right on.
I'm the chairman of that, and Rudy's the president. And it's just like the Songwriters Hall of Fame. We have this beautiful gala, and we honor careers that it needs to be a 20-year minimum of how long one has been since their first published song. And then we also have honorees, and we feature young artists. And last year, of course, iHeart jumped in, and we had an iHeart Song of the Year. And of course, it was Despacito.
Right.
And so that's one of the things that made me feel really good. Because my mom passed away 7 years ago.
Sorry for your loss.
And she was 85, and she had a fantastic life because of music. Because I was able to provide for her from the success that I had.
Right on. Have you ever recorded one of her songs?
She and I co-wrote a song, but it's never been released. It's called Un Sueño Vagabundo. And hopefully now I'm kind of putting together all her poems and lyrics and want to publish her book and maybe try to do a tribute album now that I'm
Cool.
Now, I care a lot about, the legacy of other songwriters.
Absolutely.
Laura Nero, for instance, is, a cause of mine. And so I just did 3 nights at the Feinstein's 54 Below, New York City, and I opened the show with a song by Laura Nero.
Wow.
Then we did a Desmond Rouge segment where we sang 3 songs, and then we also performed Laura Nero's Christmas in My Soul.
Wow.
And I also featured the music of Don Paul Yole, who he passed away during the AIDS epidemic. And he was a friend of ours. So I featured some of his music. I had recorded one of his songs on my solo record, Discipline, a song called Array of Hope.
Okay.
And I end the show with that song. So it was a beautiful tribute, to some of my favorite songwriters.
So you already answered the question about your mom being a musician, and she's one of your biggest influences, I'm assuming.
Well, she is just in that, she wrote from a very emotional point.
Right.
And I think that my songs do have an emotional kind of vibrancy.
Right.
I mean, I write in many styles, so I don't really own a style.
Right.
Because I always leaned into whatever style the artist that I was working with. But I added a kind of pizzazz to it that I think helped them to get noticed.
Absolutely. All right, so here's a really off-the-wall question, because I am Psycho Steve, and I'm a bit of a car enthusiast. What kind of car do you drive?
I have 3 cars.
Okay.
I have my floppy car.
Which is what?
A Jeep, a Willys Jeep.
Awesome. What year is that?
Just maybe it's 4 years old.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant like one of the ones from like World War II or
something. No, I had one like that, but
Yeah.
I was scared to drive it with my kids in it, especially. So it was like 1949 Willys, like one of those post-war things.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I had to give it up.
Gotcha.
It was too scary.
Right on.
And then I also have a Challenger.
Cool.
Black kind of muscle car.
Does it have the Hemi in it? The 6.2 liter V8?
Yeah.
Awesome.
And it's fun.
Right.
And I'll probably have to give it up to my kids because they're getting ready to drive in another few months.
Wow.
And then I have a Bentley Arnage T.
Very nice.
I have a good story about that. I was hanging out riding with Paul Stanley. This was in 2005.
Right.
And he said, hey, let's take a break. I want you to go down and see this car I'm thinking about buying. And so, he has this very beautiful Mercedes all souped up. And I said, well, why do you want to switch it for this car? Yeah, I'm tired of this one. I want you to see this cool Bentley I like. So we went to see this beautiful black Arnage T Bentley. It's kind of sporty a little bit.
Right.
And the dashboard looks like it's on a boat from the, 1940s or something.
Awesome.
Walnut and everything. It was so, when the seats had these crisscrosses. And, I looked at that. It was like, wow, that's amazing. And so by the end of our visit, I had bought it. And Paul just kept his car.
Right on.
So he got the thrill of buying the car, but with my money.
Oh, right on. Of course. He can live vicariously through you.
Yeah, because he's notoriously good with money. And so he said, well, that was cool buying that car. And then, I'm the one who drove off with it.
Nice. Cool. Hope you got a good deal on it.
It's, my kids were always making fun of me and kind of scolding me even when they were little. They said, we looked up your car and it's the biggest gas guzzler in the world. Just 2 miles per gallon. And I said, okay, right. But it still, to this day, only has 20,000 miles on it.
Wow.
Now it's been 12 years owning it or something.
Right.
So how much gas did I guzzle?
Exactly.
But I have to say, talking about my mom, when we were living in LA, I used to take my kids to the Beverly Hills Hotel for breakfast on Sundays. We'd go down to this, kind of breakfast kind of bar, kind of thing downstairs. And I think that day we went to the Polo Lounge. And, did you ever see a movie called Moonlight?
Yeah.
You know those projects?
Yes.
That's where I grew up.
Oh, wow.
in Miami.
Oh, cool.
Project.
My grandmother lives in Aventura.
Right.
So
that's like kind of very chic
yeah.
area. But we lived in the ghetto.
Okay.
And we lived in a government house. And it's the same one that was in that movie, like when they did the interior shots, that was exactly our apartment. Exactly.
Wow.
So it kind of brought back a lot of memories. And out front, my mom would have her broken down car, that was, she couldn't even drive it because she didn't have enough gas to get anywhere.
Aww.
So she'd walk blocks to go get, sometimes in the rain to get to a bus, change 3 times to get to her job, her day job, and so I remember driving up to that Beverly Hills hotel in my Arnage tea with my mom and my kids, and they'd open the doors and the kids would run up the red carpet, and my mom was in that car, and she looked around and she said, "Is this your car?" And I said, "Yes." And she said, "This is very nice." And I thought to myself in that moment, wow, it's been a long road to get to that car, to the Beverly Hills Hotel, from those projects. It gave me like an amazing feeling of accomplishment.
So what kind of car did you buy her? Because you said you did buy her a car.
Well, she had multiple cars, and she would always just loan them to her crazy sister who would, get into crashes. And so I stopped buying the cars. And so anywhere she wanted to go, we'd have somebody drive her.
Right on. Okay, cool. So you mentioned your family. I know you're happily married, and you have 2 beautiful children. On your downtime, what do you guys like to do?
Well, we travel a lot.
Okay.
I love to go to Greece. In the summertime, we've gone every year for 10 years to this one little island. I'm not going to say what it is because we don't want to get it spoiled.
Right.
But it's kind of very Mamma Mia. And the kids are, just running around like crazy with other kids from all over the world. Sometimes they don't even speak the same language. And yet they get along and they're playing. Soccer's always at 7 o'clock at night. And then everybody kind of runs in around 9 for dinner, and then we're sitting there till midnight, and then the kids are kind of jumping up and running, playing hide and seek, and you see like 20 boys running in a pack, and then a few seconds later you see 20 girls running after them like they're the Beatles. And they're playing hide and seek, and they're so innocent there. There's just no cars. They kind of let go of their video games. They play real chess on the boards, and sometimes they have teams. So, that's like a very wonderful place that we go to. And, that's what we like to do. We travel.
Awesome. All right. So now you've written with all different genres of music. Are you actually friends with any of these guys or girls? They call you and say, "Hey, hey, Sir Desmond, you free for lunch? I'm going to be over here. You'd like to join me?"
Well, I think very close with John Bon Jovi. He's the godfather of our sons, and he's a very attentive godfather. And we're going to go to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Awesome.
To cheer him on as he gets inducted with his band Bon Jovi, and we're really looking forward to that. And yeah, we get together. We have a song that we wrote together called "You Want to Make a Memory." And there's a line in the song, "Sipping wine, wasting time," or something.
Yeah.
Trying to solve life's mysteries. That's kind of pretty much sums it up. Like several times a year we'll get together and we'll kind of talk about everything, and a lot about politics. And it's fun to have a good friend like that. That I can always count on. And of course, I'm close with Paul Stanley, who really, he's the reason I even have a career, because he's the one that gave John my phone number when Kiss was touring in Europe and Bon Jovi was their opening act.
Right.
This is back in, Jesus.
86, 84?
Oh, it was like 83.
Right.
Or something like that. And so then when John got back to the United States, he gave me a call, and I went and wrote with him and Richie Sambora in this little, it was Richie's parents' house where Richie still lived, on the edge of a marsh, this, kind of gray, long marsh, and at the end of it, just like it was Emerald City, there's an oil refinery. Must have been like the most toxic place on earth. And
so you're explaining about New Jersey.
New Jersey, yeah.
Of course.
And but this was a kind of very forbidding kind of neighborhood. And that's where we wrote our first song, You Give Love a Bad Name.
Right. Yeah, that's my oldest son's favorite song. When I told him that I was interviewing you, because I'm a proud dad of two as well, and he's just like, really? I'm like, yeah. He's like, well, tell him he's awesome. I'm like, I'll be sure to let him know, Jack. Thank you. So my oldest son gives you the horns up and thumbs up for writing that song, because every time he gets in my car, he grabs my phone, puts on, and he's like, I need to hear that song. And I'm like, you don't listen to this music in the car with your mom? And he's like, no, Mom doesn't listen to good music. You listen to good music. I'm like, okay, I'll take that. Point for Dad. So, all right. Speaking of music again, in your car, what's in your CD player?
When I'm in the car, I just listen to the hits.
Oh, okay.
Whatever is going on. I think there's a very exciting time in music.
Right.
Because, technologically, the sounds that people can get.
Right.
That just jump out the speakers is really, impressive. And I think that some people are making great music, and so I enjoy listening to it.
Awesome.
So I enjoy listening to all kinds of music. I've been working on a Broadway show for a long time called Cuba Libre, and there's a chance we could get out to Broadway in 2019.
Awesome.
If all the pieces come together. And also I've been, working on an animated motion picture, where I'm, creating all the music for. And also I'm executive producing a television show, a short series, 10 episodes, about the Lou Pearlman and the $500 million Ponzi scheme that bankrolls the whole O-Town explosion of boy bands.
Right, and Sync and Backstreet Boys.
So it's a very, kind of suspenseful, series. And so I've been expanding, to theater, television and film. So it's fun because, now when I walk in a room, people really respect me, and because of everything that I've created.
Right.
And so, it wasn't like that, 20 years ago when I first, hit LA and started, trying to push, different kinds of shows, and at that time I was working a lot with American Idol, and I thought to myself, well, if there's one, there could be another one. And I just pounded the pavement with different shows, Kick to the Curb, Star Maker, Hit Maker, The Next Big Thing. I had it was all, kind of like what The Voice did. Right. And everyone would just say, television doesn't need another music show. There already is American Idol. It's like, compete with it. And no one would listen to me. And then sure enough, some other very smart people created, The Voice. Right. Look how successful it is. And so it just goes to show you, that, if you have a dream, you should never give up on it, because dreams are free. True story. So why not keep them going?
Absolutely. Sounds like a next song you're going to write called Dreams Are Free. I can see it.
Yeah, so why give up on them?
Sure. Okay. Has there been a time in your career when you stepped back and said, holy shit, this is awesome? Or have you ever been very overwhelmed and you had to take a break?
No. I just never look back. I always look forward. Cool. And, sometimes, I've gone to events where they've given me awards, and there'll be a video presentation of one hit after the other. I go, God, that's amazing. Who has done that? Not that many people, have had that kind of success over really 5 decades. And I'm still working. I mean, had a hit a couple of years ago with Zed, Beautiful Now. And before that, I had a big hit with Katy Perry called Waking Up in Vegas. So, I've had a #1 song in 5 decades.
Wow. So you started when you were 3.
All I need to do is get to 2020. If I could have a hit then, a #1 hit. I'm saying #1 hits in 5 decades. Yeah. If I could have a #1 hit, then it'll be 6 decades.
That's
so it's okay if nothing happens till 2020.
Okay. Well, I know it's not going to happen, but as far as it's going to happen sooner than that. But
also, but it's like I try to get in on everything that I can, and you can't be everywhere and all things to all people at all times.
right.
And there's no reason why I shouldn't have been writing with Adele. I'm perfect for her.
Right.
And I just didn't try hard enough to get in. My colleague got in. Rick Knowles, Diane Warren,
Yeah.
wrote with Adele. And I, at that moment, didn't have a publisher or any, or management at that time. I'm back with my original managers now, but in that period of time, I didn't have anyone to push me in. So, there are a lot of amazing artists that I would like to have co-written with. I would have loved working with George Michael.
Wow. Me too.
I sing one of his songs in my show, Fast Love, slow version.
Awesome.
Of Fast Love, and that one's like the best song I do, better than my own music.
Right.
So, that one goes over great.
Huh.
So I'm going to continue, trying to keep performing.
Awesome.
Because, I think it's important that if you're a teacher, that you get in the ring too.
Absolutely.
And not lose touch with what it takes to get out there and sing. And that only sharpens my songwriting skills and my empathy for the people that I'm working with.
Gotcha. So speaking of songwriting, does the artist approach you, or does the label, or do you approach them?
There's been a lot of different ways, and sometimes it's, through management. They say, oh, look, I had lunch with this A&R guy. He has this act, and, maybe you should try writing with them. And that a lot of things have come of that. And, like Katy Perry or Jonas, or, lots of different hands. And sometimes, I'm co-writing with, Paul Stanley or John Bon Jovi, my, tried and true friends. And I think they come back just simply out of, because I always do deliver.
Right.
And they like what I bring to the table. They may be co-writing with a lot of other people, but my songs tend to, get picked and stay on the record.
Awesome. All right. Do you have a favorite song that you wrote?
Well, I think the one that has really stood the test of time, of course, is Living on a Prayer.
That's right.
That I co-wrote with John Bon Jovi and Richie Sambora.
Right.
And, I think one of my favorite personal songs is a song called Weird that I wrote with Hanson.
Awesome. I know the song. My cousin's a huge Hanson fan.
And I think it means a lot to me because, I grew up feeling weird because I grew up being gay. I grew up, being a Latino. I grew up being extremely poor. So I had three things that kind of made me an outcast. And, when I wrote that song with Hanson, I was thinking about that in relation to my whole life. And, hearing these, perfect, white boys with blonde hair,
Right.
singing a song about being weird, and they were like the complete opposite of weird.
Right.
They were like the most perfect children. But I think the irony of that kind of was, the soulful way that Taylor sang it kind of was very touching. So I always perform that song because it means a lot to me.
Awesome. So has there been your favorite artist that you want to work with that you haven't yet?
Well, I would, one of the artists that I just absolutely adore and probably is untouchable is Sade. I just love her music, and I listen to her music all the time. It never grows old. It's timeless. And, I would love to work with Adele because I feel like, how she sings, how passionate. If she sings that, I feel like I could contribute and,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
She sings both of them flawless.
Yeah.
I've watched YouTube videos and just sat there and they just, plug in a mic and then just sing and just make it, breathing so easy for them.
And, I also, really admire people like Madonna. I never got a chance to co-write with her because she basically would never need me. She worked with, arrangers and programmers, and she's a top writer. She writes all the lyrics and the melodies, so she wouldn't never need me, but I would love to work with her. And, I think it would be fun to get to know her.
Cool.
It's like, there's a lot of things that I'd love to do.
Okay.
And working in different genres. Like I've been working with urban songwriters and combining, urban, style with endemic choruses and stuff. So I've been doing that, and the beauty is that music and styles sometimes come in cycles, and then when it comes back around, it always is kind of like a progression, and it's more than one could have ever thought of. Like I love Panic at the Disco, love Fall Out Boy,
cool.
I love Imagine Dragons, some of the songs that they do, like Radioactive. I just can't get over that song. It's a masterpiece.
Right.
And I just like, I have interest in all things. And I think that, one of the bad things that happened when music started becoming very genre-centric is that people just would listen to one kind of music. When I was growing up, there were only 2 radio stations in Miami, and one was, they both were playing everything. They go from the Beatles to Aretha Franklin, to Dionne Warwick, to, Leslie Gore, to, the Monkees. They just played everything. So you were educated in all styles.
Awesome.
And then later on, when radio began to kind of figure out what their markets were and all that, they'd only, FM, they'd only the rock station, the jazz station, this and that. And so that's the birth of things like, Sirius and all that. They just target one kind of music.
Right.
And I think that actually shuts people down, from exposing themselves to appreciate every kind of music.
Absolutely. Even though my favorite genre of music is predominantly like rock and metal and everything, I do have, in my collection, I love like Toto and Lionel Richie and your music. And, on this hard rock exterior, there's a schmaltzy soft side that, my girlfriend and my kids pick on me about. And they're like, really? Your nickname is Psycho Steve and you're listening to Lionel Richie? I'm like, yeah. So,
why not?
Exactly. I'm like, just to get my groove on with my chick,
I was part of a Kimos Radio contest. Like, it was a rock music contest that was being sponsored by Big Machine, Scott Borchetta, and John Barbados, because they were working together on Barbados Records.
Right.
And the winner of the contest won a record deal. And this happened at the Viper Room a couple months ago.
Awesome.
And I had such a good time. It was one band after the other. They were actually all like spectacular. And one that really caught my ear or whatever is a band from Philly called Another Day Dawns. And they are really like, heavy metal.
Okay.
Love it. And the bass, they're all very young. The bass player is a woman, and she's 20 years old, and the drummer's 28 years old, and the lead singer's 22, and I think the guitar player is around that age. And I'm going to be working with them. They weren't the winners. The winner was Ivory Black, and Ivory didn't have enough funds to be able to bring the entire band. So Ivory was going to just play loops and things and play along, and none of that stuff worked. And so Ivory just grabbed an acoustic guitar and just sang and took it just on acoustic guitar. Took the rock band contest. If you look up this artist, very unusual, kind of gender neutral artist that it was, very gorgeous, very thin and tall, and and just sang this soulful stuff that just ripped your heart out. It was like we looked at each other and said, "Oh, it's got to be Ivory." But no matter what, I'm going to be working with Another Day Dawns. I love the tight band, and the singer just he sings so hard on his chords. It's amazing.
Awesome.
So that's like the polar opposite of some of the pop music I've been doing. It's like I like to stay working with young people, and I love rock, and I'm never going to give up on it.
Awesome. All right. Is there a song that you wrote that you're sick of hearing? Like, if you heard it on the radio, you roll your eyes and say, okay, I have to change this?
Not really, no.
Okay.
I think, I'm pretty proud of everything I've done, and it's interesting to hear a song again and and it kind of takes you back in time. Like I said, songs are time machines, and it gets you to relive the point of creation. And that's a very beautiful thing, even for the person that wrote it, can time travel back to that moment, and the listeners do as well. And it's not that it's time traveling back in time in a way. It's because in a way it can be that, but it's like puts you in that timeless space of creation.
Right.
Where there is no yesterday or, tomorrow or all that. And you get this feeling, and it makes you feel alive, and it gives you like emotion and inspiration and energy. And that's why we can't live without music.
True. Okay. For up-and-coming songwriters or producers, any advice?
Well, I just gave a master class at NYU.
Right.
And that question was posed to me. And what I always say is be as self-sufficient as possible. Because I'm like the least self-sufficient, actually. I mean, I play keyboard in spite of everything. And all the rock music I've helped to make, I don't play guitar. My mother played guitar.
Wow.
I could never get my mind around it. And, so be as self-sufficient as possible. Learn, engineering, learn programming, learn Logic and Pro Tools and every other kind of thing there is. Learn that stuff inside out and read a lot and learn about poetry and lyrics. Study the lyrics of Dylan and Joni Mitchell and, Laura Nyro. Listen to their music and, everyone else. Like, really study lyrics.
Right.
Because a song is really built on the concept of the song, the title, what it's about. Then the music is the scoring, that goes to the script. So, that's like a really important thing. Be able to sing, even if you don't think you can sing. Learn how to sing so that you can put a demo together. And with auto-tune and this and that, you can make it sound good. At least be able to communicate the song. Be very meticulous about archiving your progress. Make sure that all of your lyrics are typed. Number each line so that when you're doing comping, it's easier to just go to line 28 and punch in the last word of line 28 rather than be poking around saying, well, it's that third chorus of the this and that. And then make sure you always put the copyright mark at the end after the lyrics. Copyright 2018. And then your name or the name of your publishing company. I'm one of the board members of ASCAP. I love ASCAP. I think ASCAP is fantastic. But there's BMI and CSAC and GMR. Those are other performing rights organizations. Check them all out and see where you feel the most at home. Become a part of it. Go to their events. It's always better if you live in a music town. Nashville is incredible for music. LA, New York, Austin, Seattle, Miami, Atlanta for urban music. Live in a town that has the most amount of people that do the music that you want to do.
Right.
Get to know everybody. Be nice to everybody. Do favors for everybody. Show up to their showcases so that when you have yours, they'll show up at yours. And, it's a lifelong commitment, but it's so rewarding. And so my advice is be as self-sufficient as possible. Learn how to collaborate, but don't let your creative process stop because you can't find a programmer. Don't let your creative process stop because you can't, sing or anything like that. Just dive into it and be the best you can be at everything.
Awesome. That's very profound. And last but not least, this is the last question, and we'll wrap it up. What's next for Sir Desmond Child, Lord of the Hits?
On April 23rd in Los Angeles at the ASCAP Pop Awards, I'm going to be honored with the Founders Award, which is the highest honor of ASCAP. And they're also acknowledging my 40 years at ASCAP.
Wow.
So I'm very excited about that. And, I'm sure there'll be, some fantastic colleague of mine that's going to present. And it's going to be a wonderful event. And then the ASCAP Expo is, I think that May 7th, around then. And that's an amazing thing to be a part of. It's open to the public, sign up for, people come from all over the world, from China to Sweden, Finland, Germany, Hungary. They all come from all over the world. They all meet and gather. There's several thousand music aficionados. There's a lot of networking that happens. I remember once being chased around by this kind of heavyset girl with her demo.
Right.
And I kind of blew her off, because she was bugging me. Guess what? That was Megan Trainor.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. How dumb was I? So a lot of people, Adam Anders, was a Swedish producer that did all the music for Glee.
Right.
I remember being at an airport and saying, hey, I heard your panel. I wanted to thank you so much because the things that you talked about really helped me. And I said, really, what are you doing? He says, well, I produce all the music for Glee. It's like, oh my God, that's fantastic. And he's gone on to do great things. And so many people go on to do great things coming out of the ASCAP Expo.
That's awesome.
I really recommend it.
Okay. So do you want to plug anything?
Well, I'd like to remind people that the Latin Songwriters Hall of Fame 6th annual inaugural gala is going to be October 18th at the James L. Knight Center. And, that is a fantastic event. And there are a lot of, general admission tickets, very reasonable. There's, we have 3,000 seats to sell. At the front, tables are usually industry, it's like a dinner thing.
Right.
But there's an audience behind. And it's going to be one giant star after another. So I really recommend that.
Okay.
And, I think the main thing is that if you love music, to just never give up on it and just hear new music to be inspired by, because that is where the future is.
Awesome. And as far as in contacting you or saying hi, besides on Facebook?
What my favorite thing is Instagram.
Okay.
So I'm on that day all day long.
Okay.
So Desmond.child.
Okay.
I'm on actually Facebook and Twitter, but
Yeah.
that I'm on that Instagram like crazy.
All right. Cool.
So follow me.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So just wanted to say thank you. I sincerely and
Steve,
I really appreciate.
amazing.
Thank you. So are you, sir.